Laurie, that's your own good horse, that Sweet Face.
You take him and welcome. But don't you count on finding me here when you get back. I've been hanging around this godforsaken windscour for 2 long years waiting for you. I ain't cut out to be no old maid.
Well, I'm sorry, Laurie. But I just gotta catch up with Ethan.
Well, go ahead and catch up with him then.
The Searchers, directed by John Ford, is often recognized as the signature American Western, as well as the magnum opus of its director and star, John Wayne. The film chronicles the quest of John Wayne's character Ethan Edwards and his adopted nephew Martin Pauly, played by Jeffrey Hunter, as he looks for his niece Debbie, who has been abducted by Comanches. One of the key elements of the film is the portrayal of the quest as masculine obsession, and the conflicts that that obsession brings to the domestic sphere. The opening image of The Searchers is the figure of a woman resolutely surveying the landscape, and when John Wayne's rugged, self-reliant hero rides in from the desert, he is seen as a force of disruption. Though Ethan is not responsible for the events that put the plot into motion, he is shown to be a dangerous man and no stranger to a violent life on the fringe of society.
Twice that much here, Yankee dollars.
What? That's fresh minted. There ain't a mark on it.
So?
You wanted for a crime, Ethan?
Coffee, Ethan.
Thank you, Martha. You asking me as a captain or a preacher, Sam?
I'm asking you as a ranger of the sovereign state of Texas.
You got a warrant?
You fit a lot of descriptions.
It's hard to classify The Searchers as an anti-romantic Western, but it is a complex disassembly of the quest, and maybe the most important character other than John Wayne's Ethan Edwards in this reading of the film is Laurie Jorgensen, who is exquisitely played by Vera Miles. Laurie's primary role in the story is as a love interest for Martin, and she is to an extent defined by this relationship.
And him probably forgetting all about you. Probably can't even call your name to mind.
Well, her name's Laurie. But I fairly forgot just how pretty she was.
But achieves autonomy as both the initiator and dominant member of said relationship.
Here, try these on.
I ain't gonna.
Unlikely they'll...
Laurie is shown as a knowing character who begrudgingly accepts her place in society without letting it define her.
Now, looky here, Martin Pauly, I'm a woman. We women wash and mend your dirty clothes all your lives. Well, your little we even wash you. How you can ever make out to be bashful in front of a woman, I'll never know.
Now, you talk like a feller just might as well run around naked.
Wouldn't bother me none.
Sure wouldn't try it in front of Pa, though, if I was you.
But it is she who represents the pull of domestic life to Marty, just as Ethan represents the pull of a rugged life of adventure and violence.
Marty.
Good night, Laurie.
Night, Mr. Edwards.
Night, Miss Jorgensen.
When the time comes to choose between the quest and Laurie, the decision is shown as a fatalistic non-choice.
I was hoping I could hold you here, but I guess I knew better.
Though when Marty does go after Ethan, he receives his power in the form of Western trappings from Laurie, as it is only because of her blessing that he is allowed to rejoin the quest.
But Laurie, that's your own good horse, that Sweet Face.
Although she, in a romantic gesture, helps Marty on his way, Laurie is still devastated by her bleak lot in life, and this is her final push towards self-awareness. Soon after, she abandons romance in favor of pragmatism when she becomes engaged to another man in lieu of Marty's absence.
Catch up with him, man!
The two basic elements of the Western are waiting and violence. The Searchers is certainly not the first Western, and not even John Ford's first Western, to suggest that the waiting is more difficult than the violence. The Searchers, however, may be the most succinct expression of that idea, vividly showing the vast expanses of time inherent in Western life. We are accustomed to seeing the Western from the point of view of the hero, but one sequence turns this notion on its head. Laurie receives a letter from Marty, updating her on the progress of the quest, and for a time, she becomes our point of view character.
Howdy, Mr. Jorgensen!
Charlie!
Got me a letter here.
By golly! A leather?
It's for Miss Laurie.
2 leathers in 1 year, by golly. Mama! Mama! It's Charlie McCory! He's come with a leather and he's come a courting too, by golly. Come on.
This sequence puts us in the shoes of the waiter rather than the doer of violence, and shows the extent to which Laurie has to put her life on hold and vicariously live through the hero Marty, just as we have in countless Western films.
Well, maybe you ought to follow her?
How should I know? She's your wife.
Maybe she left other signs for us to follow, but
We'll never know, 'cause it snowed that day and all the next week.
we're heading north through buffalo country when something happened that I ain't got straight in my own mind yet. But on this day, we sighted a small herd. See, we needed some meat, so we circled around and come up on them afoot.
This is a subversive twist that not only casts Marty's actions in a more selfish light, but has implications beyond the searchers. John Ford uses several such methods to examine Western ideas, both positive and negative, and most come back to Laurie Jorgensen at some point. Ford uses Laurie's character to examine the quest specifically, setting her up as a mirror character for Natalie Wood's Debbie, the object of Ethan and Marty's obsession. Early in the film, there are several lines that imply the Jorgensen home may have also been a target for the Comanche raiders, and that it could just as easily been Laurie taken rather than Debbie.
This is a murder raid. Shapes up to scald out either your place or my brother's.
Mama. Laurie. Oh, please, God. Please, no. Brad! Son!
Jorgensen's place is the closest, Ethan. If they're not there, we'll come straight on to you.
In this guise, Laurie becomes the heart of the quest, a reminder of what our heroes seek, as well as a stand-in for Debbie, who only reappears in the final portion of the film.
Again, skip-to-maloo. Gone again, skip-to-maloo. Skip-to-maloo, my darling.
Laurie's second function as the role of a mirror character for Debbie is more subversive and casts her in the conscience of the quest. In Laurie's story, we see the consequences and damage of Ethan's obsession. Ethan is again seen as a disruptive force, intruding in Laurie's life with Marty, as we can assume that he intruded in Debbie's life with the Comanches.
Big shoulders. Debbie?
Und mehr.
Debbie? Debbie, don't you remember? I'm Martin, your brother. Remember? Debbie, remember back. Do you remember how I used to let you ride my horse? And tell you stories? Oh, don't you remember me, Debbie?
I remember. I'm always. First I prayed to you. Come and get me. Take me home. You didn't come.
But I've come now, Debbie.
These are my people. Und mehr. Go. Go, Martin, please.
Laurie is the mirror that Ford uses to examine the actions of the heroes, Ethan and Marty, and the negative side of their tough, self-reliant outlook. She's also a character that is part of her time and genre, and displays contradictions of her own. When Marty and her fiancé fight for her, Laurie seems to enjoy it, even though it is not considered ladylike for her to do so.
Mr. Edwards, make him stop!
Why, you started it.
Marty, wash his face! Oh, Ethan, no!
Don't forget you're a lady.
Come on, fight fair now. Fight fair. Come on, Charlie, come on.
Although this is violence in a formalized setting, it is perhaps a suggestion that Laurie would not be averse to engaging in masculine struggle, if not for her place in society, but it might also be an expression of her own self-realization, as she knows who she wants to be with, and that person is Marty.
Hands and make friends.
4 gives us a fascinating examination of Laurie's relationship to violence in The Searchers.
Ethan, those girls mean as much to me as though they were my own. Maybe you don't know that my Brad's been sitting up with Lucy, and my Laurie's
I'd be obliged if you'd come to the point, ma'am.
It's just that I know that Martha'd want you to take care of her boys as well as her girls. And if the girls are dead, don't let the boys waste their lives in vengeance. Promise me, Ethan.
Well, come on if you're going with us.
And she is one of the key elements in its subversive look at domesticity, the urge to quest, and the violent and independent instincts from which this urge springs.
Well, why don't you say it? Beaten, you know it.
No. Our turning back don't mean nothing. Not in the long run. She's alive, she's safe. For a while, they'll keep her to raise as one of their own until she's of an age to...
Do you think maybe there's a chance we still might find her?
Injun will chase a thing till he thinks he's chased it enough. Then he quits. Same way when he runs. Seems like he never learns there's such a thing as a critter who'll just keep coming on. So we'll find him in the end, I promise you. We'll find him. Just as sure as the turning of the earth.
In the end of the film, it seems Laurie has won the battle for Marty, as John Wayne's Ethan, who is the true rugged independent man of the film, can never truly, for good or ill, hang up his spurs and rifle to settle down.
What makes a man to wander? What makes a man to roam? What makes a man leave bed and board and turn